And we're also joined from Connecticut by TV presenter Trisha Goddard. Last night in New York, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex were recognised for their racial justice and mental health work, and even joked about being on a date night.
I actually thought we were just going on date night, so I found it quite weird that we're sharing the room with 1,500 people. I mean, we don't get out much because our kids are so small and young, so this is completely unexpected. But it's nice to share date night with all of you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for bringing me on this very special date night.
It was completely unexpected, apparently. He thought he was just going out for a meal.
I know. He had the kebab and the tinny, but you know what was going on.
Trisha, look, there is controversy here. People have very, very strong opinions. My goodness, Trisha, you have been involved with this programme and the strong opinions about Harry and Meghan. But just describe for us, are they 100% supported and celebrated over in the States? Is this seen as a sort of fight back against an archaic institution which is structurally racist?
That's putting it in a very simplified, oversimplified way. The first thing you've got to realise is that there is a big difference between the US and the UK as to how they see racism. Now, in America, it's accepted that there's racism. People won't go toe-to-toe, and I've been on many shows, they won't go toe-to-toe with you to say this country is not racist. They either say it is because, or black people should get over it, or it's still the land of opportunity, you can move on from it. There's no argument about racism. In the UK, for instance, though, it's very different. People go berserk if you talk about racism. We're not racist. It's just a few people there. And the big difference is in the US, people are surrounded by monuments to people who were enslaved. It's, you know, part of their heritage. They know it, they feel it, they see it, they can't deny it. Remember, in the UK, slavery happened offshore in different places. So you've got to understand that history. So, you know, the US, I'm always asked about this. They don't understand so many things about Britain. They really don't. Because no one, for instance, in the US is going to ask a black person, where are you really from? You're a black American, and I might not like you, and I might wish you weren't here, but hell, I've got to put up with the fact you're a black American. So there's a lot of misunderstanding. And I don't believe in coincidences either. As a television maker, I know if you've got paid millions to somebody, and this, you know, there's a visit by the so-called goodies and baddies and all this sort of thing, you think, aha, let's put the show out now, let's do the promo now, and let's get things started. You know, and I you know, these things are planned way in advance. I'm talking about the Earthshot Prize. I'm talking about this particular award. But everybody on his wife is going to say, clickbait, audience, let's cash in on it. And if the Sussexes didn't know it when they did this documentary, they sure as hell know it now.
I mean, we see them as the royal connection, but in the States, is it more that they're a celebrity couple rather than anything more than that?
A bit of both. Bit of both. Now, do remember, with this Netflix thing, people have pointed out inconsistencies, and that's to do with the editing and the producing and what have you. There's a big blur in the States between reality and Hollywood. You've got Ronald Reagan, you've got, Donald Trump, you've got a lot of people there who come from television. It doesn't matter how many disclaimers Netflix will put out, the Crown is still seen as fact. 99% of people see it as fact. Whereas in the UK, apart from the odd person with a bit of charisma, like Boris Johnson and now no doubt Matt Hancock, it's not such a big thing. Politicians are politicians and get into politics for a very long time. So that's another thing. This whole thing is going to be hyped up. Netflix has got to make its money back and please its shareholders.
And Trisha, just interesting, when I've talked to friends in the States, there does seem to be a division on political lines. I mean, we had that with face masks. If you were a Democrat, you wore your face mask proudly. If you're a Republican, you wouldn't wear your face mask proudly.
Because of freedom.
Are Harry and Meghan, have they become sort of totemic like that? That Democrats support Harry and Meghan for your champion cause against racism. Republicans are anti them. Is there a political split on the viewpoint? Because obviously Donald Trump is not very pro.
Oh, I wondered whether it was more Americans against Brits, like a kind
Do they
of
care about us
war
enough?
of independence.
Wow. Now, Susanna, you touch on something very great. Now, you know, everybody in this argument, what we haven't considered is that the Earthshot Prize was held in Boston. Boston would not be my pick if I was, confirmed. Well, you know, it's the start of the revolution, and there's the Irish, and Boston being a hub of fundraising for the IRA, and the list goes on. And then the day after, you know, a couple of days after William meets good old Joe Biden, here we have a fracking deal between the UK and the US. I bet somewhere the Earthshot people are going, oh my God. You're absolutely right. There's all a bit of that. There's, you know, she's our princess and she's Hollywood. Hollywood to the Americans is a good thing to the Brits. We just don't understand all of that razzmatazz and dazzle.
It's so interesting what you're saying, Trisha, and good to talk to you this morning. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. 5 to 7. Andrew, are you persuaded?
No, I'm going to watch it, and I'll watch it with the same sort of...
You are going to watch
it
now, because yesterday you weren't going to watch it because you didn't want to add to Netflix's viewing
but I
figures.
think you've got to be able
just check reneged on your pledge.
Yeah, but I'm not
You've
negotiating
done a
for
bit
this. No, I haven't. No, I'm not negotiating a pay deal. But the thing is, I think you've got to watch it to see what the fuss is about, really.
You know,
Like The Crown, which I know is fiction, a lot of it, I suspect, is going to be very... distorted one way. They have to get their truth out. How do William and Kate get their truth out, by the way? Because they won't be sitting down doing a 6-hour Netflix documentary.
Well, I think they've got to respond. Come on, they can't... was it never complain? Never explain? I'm sorry, that's gone.
It's interesting you say that because according to Valentine Lowe in The Times this morning, a former staff member at Buckingham Palace who claims to have been bullied by the Duchess of Sussex, of course, claims she denies, has hit out at Harry and Meghan and called on the palace to reject their lies. They are saying the palace needs to do a stronger fight back against this. But Kevin, that has always been the policy. You just let people say what they're going to say, and recollections may vary.
Which was a
brilliant line from the Queen.
Fantastic, you know, use of understatement by the Queen. No, what I would really like, I'm not going to get it, but what I would really like, I would like to see Charles, William, Kate, Harry and Meghan with a mediator, somebody from Relate, and they could all talk. And we could publicly hear the grievances and the allegations.
There's more chance of you and I agreeing.
Because it's just not going to happen. Because it can be that Meghan was a victim of racism and snobbery, but at the same time she can be an unpleasant person and a ruthless social climber. The two are not incompatible.
And
Truth is complex.
And of course, the palace never ever published the results of the bullying investigation into allegations by 4 members of staff against Meghan. No. Never published. Maybe that will come out now.
Our North America correspondent, Noel Phillips, is in New York. It's such a prestigious award, isn't it, Noel? A number of hugely famous faces have won it before. It's also very controversial, and I do understand the couple did get a heckler last night.
They did, in fact, Susanna, but I think that was an isolated incident because I think it's fair to say Harry and Meghan really did put on a show for the 1,000 or so spectators who had gathered to watch them accept this award, and they were unapologetic and defiant. And if there were perhaps any worry or anxiety or regret behind their decision to go ahead with this Netflix series as well as accepting this award, then it would have been impossible to see that behind the smiles that was on their faces. And I think it's also worth saying that the organisers showed them a huge show of support, public support, and that the organisers, of course, are the Kennedy family. They are behind this award, and they said that Harry and Meghan were incredibly brave for speaking out about racial prejudice as well as their own struggles with mental health.
As the Duke and Duchess of Sussex emerged, the cameras followed their every move.
Harry, what do you think about destroying the royal family?
As they were recognised with an award for their work on mental health and speaking out against alleged racism in the royal family.
We don't get out much because our kids are so small and young, so this is completely unexpected. But it's nice to share date night with all of you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for bringing me on this very special date night.
Actor Alec Baldwin, who hosted the ceremony, told me despite the controversy, it was right for them to be honoured.
I understand that there's a lot of issues involving Harry and his wife about allegations of racism, things like that. And I tend to not focus on that too much because being an American, I realize, to be an American and to be conscious, you realize that racism is everywhere.
This was Harry and Meghan's first public appearance ahead of the release of their Netflix documentary, where they are expected to criticise senior royals.
I don't know how people can judge something they haven't seen. And I thought Meghan said it very well in the trailer. She said, shouldn't people hear our story?
Over 3,000 miles away, it was all smiles as the Queen Consort, the King, along with the Princess and Prince of Wales, put on a brave face to host an event at Buckingham Palace. A supporter of Harry, actor Brian Cox, says he believes all the allegations made by the Prince and is calling on his family to start listening.
I don't know what went on, but there was something clearly traumatic went on for the pair of them. I don't think they made it up. I don't think it's false. I think it's true. And it should have been rectified, and it hasn't.
What does this award mean to you?
It is difficult to see how any bridges can now be built amid a crisis that looks set to escalate in the coming days. Noel Phillips, Good Morning Britain, New York.